Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. We are leading off with the Atlanta Hawks, a rarity for
First time, maybe.
Yeah, outside maybe of a play-in game. I don't even know if we did it for that. Maybe
with
playoffs.
This set, it may be the first.
Maybe the first time. So congratulations to the Atlanta Hawks. You made headlines.
All season is the season.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's all about the trades, and these things are only going to grow as the offseason continues. I mean, we haven't even wrapped up. We're not even to the second round of the NBA playoffs, and we already have pretty significant storylines to talk about. And we can start off with Trae Young. Trae Young has his From the Point podcast on Bleacher Report. He was on there, and he was asked about what he said after the season, where for the first time in his tenure as the member of the Atlanta Hawks, he kind of showed that, yes, I want to be here. I want to win in Atlanta, but I also care to win. And he reiterated the same exact point From the Point. He did back off and say, he for the first time, he hinted at actually leaving or being a part of another organization if the Hawks aren't serious about winning. Now, I think this is beyond the smart move of Trae Young. I mean, this is kind of what you have to do at this point. You're now getting to the middle of a mega contract, the Supermax contract. You're going into your prime. You really can't start to waste these years just rebuilding or not absolutely going for it. At the very least, I don't know if the Hawks are going to really consider trading Trae Young. This holds the feet to the fire of the owners and ownership that you've got to try to build around this guy right now, or he's only going to get worse. This is the beginning of where you start. This is a story that you see throughout the NBA with superstar after superstar. And if you don't get it right, eventually they're going to raise enough hell. And they have a lot of power in the NBA, and they are going to force their way out. This is the beginning of a slippery slope. The Hawks better answer it the correct way, or the end of the Trae Young era is going to be right in front of our very eyes.
Yeah, it's a star-driven league. The owners don't have any control. The Players Association, Adam Silver, no. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Trae Young, the superstars in this league own the league. And if Trae Young wants to get out, he's going to get out of Atlanta. And I did something about it. I got, some more, well-thought words put together on the site. Go check it out, sportstalkatl.com, that it's clear Trae Young's patience is wearing thin with the Atlanta Hawks. And you kind of said it, that the pressure is now being put on, where I think it's the first time in his career where he's actually looking at ownership and the front office and the decision makers and going, what are you going to do to maximize my talent, my window right now in Atlanta? Whereas, earlier in his career, maybe he didn't have the confidence or the wherewithal, whatever it is, to kind of say something, whether it be directly or like this, indirectly, where he's kind of using the media as a tool to signal to the decision makers in Atlanta, hey, wake up, guys. This is the time. I'm not going to stick here through a rebuild. You trade DeJounte Murray, that's fine, but we're not going to take a step back. We have got to, build a roster to compete right now. And I think he's well justified. I can't think of the word that's more than justified, but he is more than justified in this thinking and this action, because the Atlanta Hawks have failed him at every step of the way. Whether it's GMs leaving, coaches leaving. I think, a lot of the narratives in the NBA about how Trae Young is the problem is the complete wrong direction. You want to look at a problem, look at the guys upstairs, the guys who are responsible for the entire organization. Trae Young is responsible for him and himself alone. He's not LeBron James. He can't shoulder the load of an entire franchise. It is up to Tony Ressler in the front office to put a product around Trae Young that can win a championship, and they have failed to do so. It is completely reasonable to feel this way.
The days of solo superstars winning championships are pretty much gone. I mean, I guess you say that the only one that really seemed to kind of still doing that right now is the Denver Nuggets, but I would put Jamal Murray in the playoffs as a superstar. Now, he doesn't have any All-Stars or all NBAs, but let's not make a mistake about it. That's a guy that come playoff time, he is one of the best point guards in the NBA. They've also done a terrific job around him building a roster. I mean, the Hawks did a pretty good job originally building a roster around Trae Young without a superstar. They make the Eastern Conference Finals, so there's ways to do it, but it's very, very difficult, and you have to be great at doing it. And then they never tried to make their team better. While everyone else got better, they got worse, and now we're in this spot where we've been in the play-in 3 straight times, and for the first time, we haven't been in the playoffs really in the Trae Young era since he was a rookie. So he's definitely justified. It's definitely time to put pressure on the front office. As a fan of the Atlanta Hawks, I'm happy he's doing it because we are at a crossroads. And whether that's dealing Trae Young or you know, go building around him, something has to be done. And putting the pressure on the ownership to make a decision, it's the right move for all parties. As fans, like, no one wants to see us go to the play-in again. Like, nobody's ready to do that again.
I think that if you're a Hawks fan and you're upset about this Trae Young stuff, you're drinking too much Kool-Aid, you know, from the ownership and the organization. Trae Young is absolutely justified. He's right in this, that it might not be a future in Atlanta with Trae Young, and that's perfectly fine. But it's time to have some guts to actually do what needs to be done. And whether that's trading both DeJounte Murray or Trae Young and Trae Young or just DeJounte Murray, something has to be done. Like, we can't just if this team somehow runs it back with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, you can kiss both superstars goodbye. We'll be in a full-fledged rebuild this time next year. And everybody, again, what seems like it happens every year, will be laughing at the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say trading Trae Young. I know Zeno came on this show and talked about that. It's really almost impossible for them to enter a full-fledged rebuild right now because they don't have their draft picks. They don't have the 2025 first-round pick. They don't have the 2027 first-round pick, which are going to the San Antonio Spurs. So there's absolutely no reason to go into this rebuild right now. I know you can acquire picks, but those are going to be picks that have nothing to do with you losing. So you might as well just do that later. So I don't imagine they're going to trade both of them now. I think that would be surprising.
Yeah.
Definitely one of them. But there is one guy. There's kind of this perfect marriage, right? And you wrote about this on the site. Go check it out at Sports Talk ATL. We're going to go into the break on this idea. But there's kind of this perfect marriage between two teams that are in similar spots. No first-round picks, both way behind in their conference in terms of where they need to be to win their conference. And there is a marriage there, but maybe superstar for superstar trades. It's the Phoenix Suns. We're talking about Kevin Durant. We're talking about Bradley Beal. We're talking about Devin Booker. They're going to have to make big moves this offseason. The Hawks are no picks, superstars trades. It very well could be a match made in heaven.